A dear friend of mine who stays in America has a lovely daughter, and the daughter has the heart of being a gymnast. A few days back, he writes something and sends to me. He says, "Today I watched my daughter, who trained for 2 years all throughout the pandemic, go into her first competition and fail very hard. 2 full years she trained for this moment, and she didn't make the vault." There is a competition in gymnastics called the horse vault. She couldn't do it. He writes, "I watched her turn back, and her shoulders shook as she cried, and she silently wiped her tears." He writes, "It took all that I had not to run across the gym and hug her and say, 'It's okay.'" She took a time. She took in some huge, deep breaths. Then she turned back around. I then watched her come back to win silver on the parallel bars and score a personal best on the floor routine. And then he goes on to say, "The greatest learning for me from this experience is you can absolutely blow something and it doesn't have to define you. You can fail in a very big way, but that failure doesn't have to define you. You can shake that failure off and come back even stronger." And that, as I read that last statement, was a huge statement for me. Huge. You can shake off your failures and come back even stronger. I think that is what human life and human story is all about. Past 2 years of COVID, this is what our story is all about. Hit very hard, shaken to the core. Life is not the way it was. And yet we can shake everything off and come back harder. I think each one of you present over here would have gone through certain personal challenges. And yet, in spite of those challenges, I know you have the spirit to knock it all off and come back harder. There must be a few friends of mine who right now are going through a struggle which was brought in by COVID. Maybe the loss of a dear one. Maybe loss of business and complete change in business environment. Maybe loss of critical people in your team, and so much is in your shoulders where you're struggling to stand, where you actually want to fly. And in spite of that, you made it over here and you are a part of KMM. My promise to you, in these 3 months, we will create some magic together by which we'll shrug everything off and we'll come back harder and stronger in life. There must be some of you over here who have already done that. Hats off to you. And I wish and pray that your story, your inspiration, your achievements, and the way you have overcome challenges in life not only becomes a strength for yourself and your family, but even strangers understand what you have done, how you have done, and get inspired by you. Desires that human beings have are called mimetic desires. Most of what we desire is mimetic or imitative. What is the meaning of the word mimetic? It means imitate. Most of our desires are born out of imitating people, events, things, experiences in life. I'm introducing something very beautiful for all of us. See if you can mirror with it and find yourself somewhere in this. I want to buy an iPhone because so many people have it and seem to be enjoying it. I want to go on a holiday because so many of my friends are going and they seem to be enjoying it. I want to get the interiors of my house done because that is what so many people in my social circle have done. I want to have a lavish wedding for our children because that is what people expect. These are not my intrinsic desires which are born from my soul or on reflection about my life. These are all desires which are born because I mimicked what is happening in the world, because I imitated. If so many people are doing it, there must be some significance and there must be some meaning. All mimetic desires move in two cycles. One is called the negative cycle. Here, mimetic desires leads to rivalry and conflicts. There are two paths in this negative cycle. One path which has a belief that others have something that I don't have, and that there is no room for fulfillment for both them and me. Here the belief is there can be only one winner. My cousin buys a brand new Benz, and I can't enjoy the idea of him enjoying his car. I look at my car, which is 6 years old, and say, "Cheh, I have such an old one. Now I have to get a new one." And in my mind, I imagine he's teasing me. In my mind, I'm imagining other people in the society are looking at my car and laughing at me. And I think if I don't have one which is latest, then I will feel tremendously ashamed of myself. Now, this kind of a mimetic desire is anchored onto a mindset of scarcity, of fear, of anger. Here, my thinking is, if someone else is winning, then I must be losing. It keeps us on the edge and anxious all the time. The second path in the negative cycle is when people believe that they are not getting enough from others. They are not getting enough from others. Enough what? Enough of money. This is a classic time right now. Let's say Atharv is working in a company and Atharv gets 100% increment. Others in the company who believe they are as good as Atharv or better than Atharv did not get that opportunity. Now they believe their company does not value them. We are not getting enough money. Unless I get enough money, I don't feel self-worth. Sometimes it is, I believe I am not getting enough attention. You should be paying attention to me. When I come to your home, you should drop everything and be with me. If I'm giving you a call, you must pick up that phone call. How can you ignore my phone call? Sometimes people believe I'm not getting enough appreciation. I've done this, I've done that, I've also done that. But nobody seems to care for what I've done. They only seem to be talking about what I have not done. And it angers us, it frustrates us. It makes us go and take somersaults of self-sympathy. Kitna kiya, koi bhi nahi dekh raha hai, kya matlab hai? It happens. Sometimes we believe we are not getting enough of love. I do so much for that person, yet that person does not love me. Sometimes we believe I'm not getting enough of opportunity. Sometimes it's not enough of support. Sometimes I believe I'm not getting justice. Now, this negative mimic cycle comes from a mindset of self-sympathy, and people wish unconditional acceptance. Your whole body is clean. Only thing is, you went to shit and you did not clean yourself. Your face is clean, your head is clean, your hands are clean, your leg is clean. Only thing is you have shit and you have not cleaned that. Can you imagine you then desiring the whole world should actually focus on the clean parts of your body? and not on the stinking part. This mindset is about self-sympathy and wishing unconditional acceptance. Laziness, comfort zone, blaming others, feeling sad is often seen here. People here dislike struggles and are often very slow in changing. They often sulk. Why am I discussing this with you on a Sunday morning when we have beautifully started KMM session number 1? Expect the world to be like this. Expect the students in your class to be going through these kind of struggles. Expect the teachers and the principal in schools to also have similar struggles. When you do that, they need your empathy, they need your support, they don't need your judgments. They don't need our sarcasm, they don't need our righteousness. We just need to understand, empathize, because you and me will be anchoring our life on the other circle, which is the positive cycle. In the beginning, I said, mimetic desire moves in 2 cycles. What I've just shared with you are the negative cycles. But here comes the second one, which is the positive cycle. The positive cycle unites people in a shared desire for some common good. The positive cycle is what transforms the world. Here, people celebrate success, irrespective of whether the success is yours or mine. Here, there is a genuine happiness on others' progress. Now, listen to this statement. Here, people are mostly in an inspired state of living. Here, the mindset of people is in a state of inspiration. There is an intrinsic, internal, deep power, deep self-belief, deep sense of passion, deep sense of destiny. And these are the people who help others to go further. If we meet people who are in the negative mimetic cycle, we look at them and say, maybe that is why we have met today. So today I have a purpose in this person's life. Here people love feedbacks. People who are in the positive mimetic cycle, they love feedbacks. They are eager to change. They believe in themselves, and all the setbacks in the world can't stop them, can't put them down. Now, this is the kind of people an AC in Keep Moving movement dreams to have. This is the kind of team members which any leader would love to have. Where there is no defense about my weaknesses or about my faults, but there is an openness to learn and to grow, to create an impact and to live a life of purpose. These people don't blame. They don't complain. They don't give excuses. They assume responsibilities and make things happen. They never sulk. So the 3 people Joe spoke about, and I must include Joe in that list, belong to exactly this kind of a category. Sumit's year of being a coordinator was an extraordinary huge year. Till then, we are used to live schoolers taking sessions, and I'm in a state where I can demand a lot of things from my live schoolers. They are my family. I know so much about them and they know so much. I can push them. But for the first time, we are opening it to strangers. We don't know them. We don't know the history. We don't know the kind of discipline they come with. And in that year, to be a coordinator, we needed somebody who's ice and fire at the same time. And it is folks like Sumit who are brilliant examples of being people who live a mimetic life with the positive cycle. When is it possible? It comes from a mindset of abundance and contribution. Abundance and contribution. मेरे जिंदगी में कभी कोई चीज की कमी नहीं आएगी, जितना चाहिए मिलेगा. आज नहीं मिलेगा तो कल मिलेगा, लेकिन अपनी जिंदगी में कमी नहीं होगी. This is called the mindset of abundance and a mindset of contribution. The best way to live life is to share. यार अपना तो सभी करते हैं, चल दूसरों के लिए भी करेंगे, कितना मजा है. This is what creates the soldiers and all the doctors who exposed themselves even in COVID times, and some of them even passed away. Humanity is what it is today, not for people who have, but for people who contribute. History of people is not people who amassed things, but it is about people who contributed things. I'm so glad and thrilled that today I'm speaking to about 345 such people, where you're not living just for yourself. You're living with a genuine desire to share and to create impact. So I heartily welcome all of you. And let me say it's my privilege to share some time of my life with you on a common mission. The first session of Keep Moving Movement this year is beautifully titled as The Voice in Your Head. If you just recollect what we discussed in the last 10 minutes, we spoke about two voices, positive voices and negative voices. Let me begin by positive voices. What is this positives all about? Positives in life are not all about what we win or what we achieve. Positives in life are also about what we attempt, how we think, and who you and me are. So it's not just about results. It's not about kya hai. It's also about kaun hai. It's also about kya koshish kiya hai. Everything in life does not lead to success, but enough experiences in life makes us mature enough to go for success. Just attending today's session is a positive. It means that you are willing to do something new. It means that you are courageous and you're open to change. You know, in Ayurveda, they say something very beautiful. Ayurveda says there is no plant in the world that does not have a good ingredient. Ayurveda says every plant has a medicinal value. Acha, in case somebody is interested, plants with the maximum medicinal value: aloe vera, which is called as the king; tulsi, which is called as the queen; pudina, methi, saunf, dhania, and adrak. These 7 are called the most powerful plants in the whole world, and it is a part of the cuisine in our country in every home. And not only these 7, I repeat, Ayurveda says there is not a single plant which does not have medicinal value. By the way, do you know about king cobra? Cobra venom is among the most noxious toxins in the animal kingdom. A cobra, through its bite, can kill an elephant. And that is why if an elephant is scared, it is not of the lion, not of the tiger, not of the rhinoceros, not of the bulls. An elephant is only scared of the cobra. Researchers have found that taking a snippet of protein from that venom, adding it on to human immune molecules, is a very novel and effective way of suppressing inflammatory chemicals. Most of the disease that we have is because of some inflammation inside. And because of that medicine through the venom, we can even treat difficult to treat ailments such as rheumatoid arthritis, heart attack, which is resulting because of the block of blood flow to the heart, stroke, which is the blockage of blood flow to the brain. Even the cobra venom, which can kill an elephant, has medicinal value, which means an extraordinary approach to life is everything has positives. There is nothing which is completely negative. Everything has positives. Chalo, let's do a small exercise. All of you, ready? I don't know exercises like Joe does. So I don't have a boom, boom, shakalaka, boom, boom. That I don't have. But let me do an exercise which I know. Let me run a poll with all of you. I'm going to share with you on the screen some qualities which I believe are natural, common. And what I want to do is, I want you to choose among these, which are the qualities that you have. Dekho to. It's a multiple choice. You can choose as many. You don't have to choose only one. Good listener, good sense of humor, patient, smart, reliable, loving, brave, clean. In COVID times, this cleanliness is very important. This clean has come because it was insisted on by Joe. If you are not having hygiene as a part of this exercise, kind to people, talented at a hobby. Do you have any one of these? Do you have many of these? Do you have all of them? Don't simply select all, okay? This is interesting. We are into it for about 40 seconds and we already have about, very fast, close to 200 people responding. Beautiful. I'm wondering, those people who have not responded, have they gone to the washroom or have they went off to sleep? Or have they just gone to the kitchen to grab their cup of chai? Lovely. Interesting. Most of them kind to people. Two people woke up. No, one person woke up right now. Maximum kind to people. Excellent. And that is what makes you a part of Keep Moving movement, right? If you're not kind to people, it's difficult to be a part of such a beautiful movement like KMM, where you have to interact with people all the time. I think Harsha, who coordinates everything, also has something else for all of you right now. Can you write in the chat box any quality that you think you have, positive, powerful quality, that was not mentioned in that list of qualities? What is that quality that you have? Shripal writes enthusiasm. Approachable writes Pramila. Yeah, just go ahead. Honesty. Lovely. Equalizer. What do you mean by equalizer? It almost sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger coming and equalizing the enemy forces or something like that. Lovely. Oh my God. Somebody is writing adapting. Beautiful. What a beautiful quality to have. Okay, thank you very much for this. Now I'm telling you what you are going to do in the classroom. And then there will be something different for all of you. At this point of time, what you will do inside your classroom is you're going to ask people to just turn around on their tables and chairs, wherever they're sitting, make groups of 4, and you'll ask each one of them in those groups of 4 to ask the other 3, what do they think is the good quality in this person? For example, Vanshika and Sumit are sitting together, and they will ask each other, hey, what do you think is the good quality in me? Vanshika might tell Sumit, that depends on when are you buying the diamond necklace for me. If not, then I'll have to reserve my judgment in that matter. So what you're going to do in the classroom is you're going to make the children come back, talk to each other, and you will give them about 3 minutes time to do that. In 3 minutes, turn around, make the groups, look at each other and ask each other, what is the good quality in them? Tell the 3 of them, I think this is the good quality you have. Ask the 3 of them, what do they think is the good quality in you? Have a pen and paper and write down. So what has Matthias said is good about me? What does Abhijit say is good about me? What does Preetam say is good about me? I should be able to take it and write it down. There are 2 ways in which we actually exist. One is the way we think, and the other is the way others think about us. Both will help us to create a balance and clear understanding of actually who we are. Nourishment can look at himself and say that I'm very enthusiastic. And his wife might say, you are not very enthusiastic. You are enthusiastic about one thing, but about 5 things you are not. So when I ask you to help me in the kitchen, you are not enthusiastic. When I ask you to go and exercise, you are not enthusiastic. When I ask you to plan, you are not enthusiastic. So you can't say you are enthusiastic as a person. You are enthusiastic about reaching out to people. You are enthusiastic about talking about insurance. But enthusiasm is not your nature. It's a part of your expression. Now, Naresh thought, I am actually enthusiastic. And when his dialing wife Shamal says, there is part enthusiasm, part still needs a lot of development. Now you have a balanced view of who you actually are. You've got some feedback and you know you can work on that. So what we are doing inside the classroom is we are helping the kids, to interact with each other. They have not interacted with each other for more than 2 years. We are also bringing in some masti in the class, some dynamism in the class. So what Joe did with boom, boom, shakalaka, boom, boom, movement makes you come into the present. Movement gets you engaged. Movement helps you to drop your lethargy. What is laziness? Laziness indicates lack of movement. What is enthusiasm? Enthusiasm makes us visualize somebody who's very dynamic, energetic, and moves. So in the classroom, we make them move a little, and in that movement, some of them will start cooperating with you. You do that for about 3 minutes, in some places maybe 4 minutes, but not more than that. And then when you ask children to come back to their positions, you will see a lot of dynamism, a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm in their eyes. Of course, we can expect some children to tell others, "Tere mein kuch bhi acha nahi." But that is how children are. I mean, they'll make fun of each other, they will pull each other's legs. They know it is in jest, but the objective is dynamism. And whatever they get as feedback from children inside the classroom is welcome and beautifully helping them to sculpt their future. However, what I want to do with all of you is something different. Now, you won't do this in the class, but you will do this only for yourself in today's session. What you want to do is you are going to call up any friend or you are going to go to any member of your house. If you're staying in a family, nothing like that. Go to somebody right now and ask them, what is the good quality they see in you? You have 3 minutes time. In that, you have to come back. If everybody is sleeping, wake them up. Or call a friend. Hey, oot, bol rahe. Arey, why some of you are still here? I was expecting all of you will be disappearing. Chalo, chalo. Enthusiasm. Boom, boom, shakalaka, boom, boom. Come on. Come on, Preeti. Preeti has started jogging because she has started her time. अरे स्वाति आ गई, अरे वाह फटाफट आ गई कि गई नहीं, जाके आई, ओके. I don't want your opinion. I want others' opinion about a good quality of yours. Shripal, good news or sad news? Good news. Okay. I mean, for those of you who know Shripal and his wife, there are multiple good news. Shripal is about to become a dad again. I mean, it didn't happen in the last 2 minutes, but I'm sharing the news with all of you right now. Some of you will say, Bapre, both powerful session hai. Shripal gaya aaya and he's saying, I'm ready to be a dad again. Oof, deadly. We have to meet Shripal.
When I asked Preeti, she's come to tell.
Yes, Preeti. Hi, morning. Namaste.
Morning, happy morning, happy morning.
Happy morning.
अभी मैं सोच रही हूँ कि मैं सबसे पहले क्या लिखूं. पहले क्या बोलूं? Out of so many qualities, what should I mention first? I think.
Okay.
So many, so loving, so caring.
Absolutely.
To worry about anything in his presence.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Me telling him, he knows what I want.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's truly incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Preeti.
Thank you so much.
मतलब अनिल की प्रीति से प्रीति को इतना प्रीति महसूस होती है, वो आज सुन के मालूम पड़ गया हमको. How beautiful it is, no, to have a wife whose name is love. Amazing. Imagine any one of you in the future. I mean, Shripal, of course, you can take this idea. Any one of you who would name your child Mohabbat. मतलब कैसा होगा वो? Okay, done. Some of us would have struggled in this exercise. Some of us would have been very fluid, no issues whatsoever. But what you know is, there are some good qualities in each one of us. Now let's move to the deeper part of today's session. I want you to be completely involved with me for the next few minutes. What we're going to discuss has the power to completely change your life downside up. How you feel about yourself today has partly to do with the messages you received as a child from your family. All of us know what is the positives about us. Unfortunately, sometimes some messages that we have received in our childhood has a very strong voice inside our head. I believe I am good, but then that voice tells me, you don't complete what you start. I know I am sincere, but that voice tells me, you don't take initiative. I know I am very kind, but the voice tells me, you are not a go-getter. Stage 1, I know the good qualities I have. Stage 2, I also know the good qualities which my friends think I have. Now, stage 3 is critical. In spite of you and me knowing the good that we have, we are not functioning at our peak. We are not doing the best we can. We are still struggling, and every now and then we have emotional tsunamis. With today's session, let me see if we can overcome all of this. How you feel about yourself today as a whole has partly to do with the messages you received as a child from your family. The way you interpreted those messages helped you feel good or bad about yourself? Now listen carefully. When we were children, we did not have the maturity or the control to filter those messages. But as adults or young adults, you can decide which of those messages you want to keep believing and which one you don't want to believe anymore. Ranveer sat with his friends and yet he felt confused. He had these recurring thoughts in his head, things that he had been told which made him feel bad about himself. His thoughts were so loud and strong, it felt that they had the power to ruin his life. He felt embarrassed to speak about this to his friends. So he spoke to Miss Ray, his favorite teacher. She was always so kind to him. He tells Miss Ray, I keep hearing this voice in my head telling me that I am not good enough. It drives me crazy. No matter what I do, I always feel bad about myself. Miss Ray asked, did anyone ever actually tell you that you weren't good enough? Ranveer answered, just my dad. When I was little, he always told me I should try to improve at football, try to improve my marks, try to improve my attitude, try to improve everything. And even when I did get better, he would tell me, you need to improve more. Miss Ray said, your current thoughts makes a lot of sense. These messages that we receive as children stick with us. They are especially powerful when they come from parents or guardians, because they are the most important people in our life. We literally depend on them for survival. Their messages are the first ideas that we have about ourselves. And they go a long way in shaping our self-image and self-belief. Mr. looked at Ranveer, touched his head lovingly, and said, ideally, we should be raised by perfectly healthy people who send us only perfectly healthy messages, ideally. In reality, however, we are all raised by people who are doing their best. They are imperfect, for they had imperfect parents, who had imperfect parents, who had imperfect parents. They are not capable of giving healthy love or sending positive messages all the time. What's most important for us to understand is that negative messages don't reflect our true worth. Negative messages don't reflect our true worth. As young children, we believe all these messages without question. But as adults, we have the ability to look at those messages carefully and decide which ones are helping you create healthy self-esteem and which aren't. You have the power to let go of any message that isn't serving you well. Now, this was in the life of Ranveer. I have 3 questions for all of you. I want you to think about it just for a moment and write down the answer in one statement or 2. Not too much. Not long answers. 1 statement or 2 statement answers. Just 1 or 2 statements. Question number 1. Why do you think Ranveer's father repeatedly told him to improve himself? Just think and write the answer. One statement or two statement answers, not more than that. I give you 30 seconds to write the answer. And you will do the same inside the classroom. You will ask the children to write down the answer. When I think, there are 100 thoughts, but when I write, it has to get crystallized into one. Why do you think Ranveer's father repeatedly told him to improve? Okay. Question number 2. Do you think Ranveer's father did or didn't love him? Kya tha reality? Do you think Ranveer's father loved him or did not love him? Just yes, he was loved. No, he was not loved. That's all. No long answers. Beautiful. Another 10 seconds. Beautiful. Now the third question. To create a healthier self-esteem, what could Ranveer do about the continued thought that he wasn't good enough? And it is born out of his father saying that you need to improve more. To create healthier self-esteem, what could Ranveer do about this continued thought that he isn't good enough? What do you think is the change that he should make? Now let me listen to 5 of you. Any 5 of you electronically, if you can raise your hands. The first 5 that I see on my screen, I'm going to ask, okay, Snehal, how do you think it can change?
So I thought he needs to ignore his thoughts and needs to focus on the things which he's doing good, which will be helping him to grow his self-esteem.
Beautiful. Naitik?
Yes, so I feel that he should have a thought process in his mind that he is good, but he can still improve
Okay.
because no one is the best. So
Wonderful. Wonderful. Very wise, Naitik.
Sir, I feel comments are good, but we need to focus which area we need to rise up to ourselves.
Okay. Charu?
I think what he could do is go through his own life and come up with examples which disprove that exact negative thought that he has. Like that will help him, concretize that.
Absolutely. Jay?
So, 2 things. One, he could challenge what are the negative ones being told to him. Second is focus a lot on his strength or his core expertise.
Oh, wonderful. Darlings, thank you. I have seen a few more hands, but I will need to move on. But thank you so much for volunteering to share. Beautiful. Excellent work done. Excellent. Now remember, the simpler is the thought which Ranveer has, the easier it is for him to hold on to healthy self-esteem. So the answer can be something as simple as, remember your strengths. If you ever want to have healthy self-esteem, remember your strengths. Now, I'm going to do something tricky, or I'm going to do something which is a little complicated. And I need your support wholeheartedly for us to get this part of the session through. You're going to do the same in your classroom. I'm going to share with you certain thoughts. And all that I need you to do is underline those thoughts if you have been a victim or a witness of these thoughts for yourself. Think about your childhood, your family members, your close friends, your neighbors, your teachers, people who are close to us. And just write down the statements which might have been heard by you in your childhood. And I'm okay if you see it relevant even in your immediate present. आज भी अगर तुम्हारे साथ हो रहा है तो perfectly okay. Think any one of these statements, if it is relevant for you, just write it down. People telling you, you are not trying hard enough. Do you listen to this statement being told to you by people? You are not trying hard enough. You're not good enough. You won't be able to do it. Why can't you be more like your brother, or why can't you be more like your sister? Are you told these statements? If yes, please write it down. In various words, it can also be look at your brother, how good he is, and look at you, what you're doing. Anywhere where you find that your sibling is the role model in the eyes of your parents and you are a disappointment. Nowadays, I have seen many educated people see this to their children. You are driving me crazy. पागल कर दोगे तुम लोग मुझे. You drive me crazy. It's a different thing when in love you tell somebody, you drive me crazy. But here in this context, that is not the reality. Here, out of frustration, somebody is saying, you drive me crazy. Now and then about some volunteers, Joe comes and shares, Poppy, this person is driving me crazy. And I'm sure many of you over here might be thinking about your Kamwali Bai with those same words. But that is not relevant today. We are talking about people looking at you and saying, you drive me crazy. Some of you might have Kamwala Baya. Is there a word like that? I just invented it. Then, in some cases, parents have looked at their children and said, why are you doing this to me? Almost as if children are cruel. Why are you doing this to me? Here is the question which some of you might have been told. When are you going to grow up? बड़े हो गए हो तुम लोग अब. I hear the next sentence quite often. Are you stupid or what? Stupid. Are you stupid? And here is another killer one that parents tell children. It's your fault that I am angry, or it's your fault I did that mistake. Fundamentally, it's your fault. तुम्हारी वजह से अगर देख मेरी बीवी में बातचीत होती है तो फिर कुछ शब्द इस तरह से हैं कि तुम्हारी वजह से, because of you, it's your fault. Let's say Papa is angry with Mummy, Mummy comes back to you and says it's all because of you, it's your fault, because of you. There's another one. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? ये छोटी सी चीज है, इसको इतना बड़ा क्यों बना रहे हो? हैं? Why are you making such a big deal out of it? Let's say if you're not invited for a birthday party and you are feeling very, very bad, and therefore you are sad or you are crying, you're upset, and mother comes and says, "Are you feeling so bad about it? This is so small. लोगों को क्या क्या तकलीफ होती है, तुमको क्या एक बर्थडे पार्टी में नहीं मिला है, इसी वजह से तुम परेशान हैं? Why are you making such a big fuss out of it?" And unfortunately, sometimes some of us would have been told, you will never do anything significant in life. तुम कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे. You will amount to nothing. You will get nowhere in life. Then another favorite statement for many parents is, तुमसे एक काम ठीक से नहीं होता है. You can't do one thing right. And sometimes it can be, can't you do anything right? Especially if parents are taking their children's education, this statement comes often. You can't get this right. Last three. Especially relevant in today's times. Third last, you can't take simple decisions. Next, second last, why are you so confused? इतना क्या सोचते हो? Why are you so confused? And finally, very hard-hitting, you don't deserve what we give to you. You have got things very easily in life, no? You didn't go through struggle that we had, so you don't deserve what we give to you. Listen. Besides these statements, if there are one or two other statements that you hear in your head that affects your self-esteem, that I haven't shared with you, but you hear it in your head and that affects your self-esteem, write it down. Is there any other message that you hear in your head which affects your self-esteem? Write it down. Okay. There is something that I want all of you to do. What you will do is, any one of these statements that are relevant to your life, that you have heard, and these statements inside your head affects your healthy self-esteem, you are going to write these statements on a piece of paper. If you have already written it on a piece of paper, fantastic. Then you are going to rip that paper off. And then you're going to tear that paper into as small a piece as possible. Emotions are never buried dead. They are always buried alive. So in case I have accumulated negative emotions, it needs an expression, it needs a venting, it needs to be thrown out. And understanding inside the head is not going to be enough. It is required for the beginning, but to complete the cycle, it has to be expressed. So what you're going to do is, you're going to write these statements on a piece of paper, tear off that piece of paper, and rip that paper into small, small parts. And then what are you going to do? You are going to paste that piece of paper in the form of a I can. It is going to come out as a very, very beautiful picture, which is the I can picture. Let me share the screen with you and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you'll take these pieces and you're going to create an I can out of it. All the voices in your head which is affecting your self-esteem, you will tear them and you will create an I can poster out of it. Now you can do it on a piece of wood. You can do it on a thick chart paper. You can color this I can the way you want. You can beautify it. You can frame it. What you want to do is, when you're going to go to the class, you're going to take your I can frame and you're going to show it to the children. You're going to tell the children about the statements that you heard inside your head, which affected your self-esteem. So you will tell about 4 or 5 statements which you heard inside, which affected your self-belief and self-esteem. And you will tell them, this is what I have done. And I made it into I can. And you'll ask them to do the same. This year, we are introducing something for the children of Keep Moving Movement. Joe will share with you a phone number and we'll tell these kids, every session, there will be one activity which will be given to you as your homework. Those of you who want to receive a certificate of participation, create a photograph of that work and send it to this phone number. Share your name, your school, and the classroom. Any child who sends their homework for all the 7 sessions will not only get a certificate, but they will also get a specially crafted, very elegant workbook, a personal diary which will help them for the rest of their lives. A diary with a lot of positive messages, and a diary which will create the essence of this year's Keep Moving Movement. So we are promising them a gift, provided they participate in all the 7 sessions. And how do we track? Very simple. We give them a phone number. Bidu, which number do you want them to message?
77410
Huh.
85000.
85000. Excellent.
I'll put it in the chat box.
Huh. So no force, no compulsion, only those who wish to do it. You can do it from your father's phone, mother's phone, your phone, not an issue. Just write the name. And then whenever we create the certificate, we'll send the certificate either to that phone number, or we will also give these certificates inside the classroom when we complete KMM for this year. This is also our way of understanding who are the bright sparks inside the classroom. And tomorrow, if we need to do some continuous in-touch programs with them, where we do a live session, and then we invite all the children for that one live session, how beautiful it will be. Before their exams, exam techniques, how to stay positive, introducing to them some very powerful people in this world, and make them talk, speak, listen to them. It can be brilliant. It can be very, very fruitful. So you will carry your I can to the classroom. The way you feel about yourself today is partly to do with the messages you receive from yourself. These messages help you feel good or bad about yourself. When you identify, explore, evaluate these messages, you can decide which one to keep and which one you don't. So this entire exercise is like a mirror to your mind, where you understand the thoughts which are robbing you of self-esteem, and you decide to clean it. It's like the wound inside your head, which has pus, which is taking away health and giving you a lot of pain. We have to silence that voice. Or you need to learn how to create a PPT. Or you need to learn how to create a new dish. Or you need to learn something else. You have a hard time learning what you need to learn. Now, what would be your thinking? I want an answer which will fill you with self-belief. What you're doing is right now, you are training your mind to have answers which will fill you with self-belief. No more nonsense inside the head. No more sympathy-seeking statements inside the head. No more the world is not good enough sentences inside the head. No more nobody likes me kind of head. No more nobody understands me kind of thoughts. Thoughts which have self-esteem. Thoughts which will fill you with self-belief. What will you tell yourself when you are rejected by a friend? Beautiful. I love it when you guys take a little effort and share the answers. Now we are into question number 3. What will you tell yourself when you are rejected by a friend? Next question. Now this is for children inside the school, but you can always morph it to your needs. What will you tell yourself when the ball does not go through the basketball hoop? You know, you are attempting to play basketball. You did it 4 times, 5 times. It's not going through the hoop. Now, what will you tell yourself? Three more. What will you tell yourself when your parents shouted at you? This will be applicable to some over here. And in case you don't stay with your parents, make it your spouse shouted at you. Or in some cases, it can be your boss shouted at you. The answer must fill you with self-belief and self-esteem. Simple as that. Wonderful. Next question. I know some of you go through this often. When you believe you are not appreciated for what you have done. You put a lot of effort. Let's say guests are supposed to come home. You've dusted the whole house, created a beautiful menu. Laid out the table. The evening went up well, but in the night only one question was asked. Why was soup so cold? Quite possible. You're not appreciated for what you've done. But people point out, what is it that you have not done? What can you tell yourself in these moments for you to stay with self-belief and not slip into self-sympathy. मैंने इतना मेहनत किया, किसी ने कुछ बोला ही नहीं, अब मेरा मन नहीं है कुछ करने का. That is one thinking process. But I want you to think in a way which fills you with self-esteem and self-belief. What is self-esteem? I am good. What is self-belief? I can do it. Self-esteem is the potential and self-belief is action. So when you're not appreciated for what you've done, how would you think? You know, somebody like me who's a teacher goes through this all the time. So Hiten Poshattivar is there, and let's say I'm coaching him, and I give him 20, 30, 50 brilliant ideas. In one of those days, if I'm upset with him for something that he did not do, which he was supposed to do, Hiten can keep thinking about, Naren को ऐसा नहीं बोलना चाहिए था, नरेन को ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए था, मैंने इतना मेहनत किया हो तो नरेन ने देखा ही नहीं. While he's right that Naren did not appreciate him, he is also not appreciating Naren for all that Naren has done for him. In a balanced world, it should be ideal, right? One of those, maybe I don't return your phone call. Pankaj called me and it slipped. And Pankaj says, Naren ने तो फोन का वापस जवाब ही नहीं दिया. मैंने तो उनको फोन भी किया था. I'm not appreciated. But what about the 10 times when Naren called you and asked you, how are you? We don't live in a world where you'll be appreciated for what you did. We live in a world where people will tell you what you did not do. You go to a restaurant, order for some food, sambar is bad. That's what any customer will tell, right? Sambar is not good. When you present yourself, you are expected to be zero defect. When I interact with people, I'm expecting people are expecting a zero defect person. When you go and buy something, you're expecting a zero defect good. So people look at the defect you have and tell you that this is the defect you have. There's nothing to be sad about. Everybody expects perfection in holistic person. But let's say you're not appreciated for what you have done. I see it this way. There is so much scope of improvement. Maza aayega. How would you process it? Which will fill you with self-belief and self-esteem? Let's move to the final part of the session. Remember from where we have flown and how we have come. Where did we begin? By positives? And everything has positives. Then you go to childhood, and we have been told messages which continues to reverberate over here and makes us uncomfortable. Then we isolated those messages. And we also remembered that sometimes we tell ourselves wrong messages, the voice inside the head, and it robs us of self-esteem. Then we wrote down those messages which kind of weakens me into a piece of paper. And we tore them up and converted them into an I can. Then we realize the power of positive self-messages. And we test ourselves. Okay, if this is a situation, what would I do? With this understanding of the need for powerful, positive, self-esteem filled test messages, can I write the answers which will fill me with powerful, positive self-esteem? So we did an experiment with a few statements which is about what will you tell yourself when you fall, you have a hard time, you are rejected, you're not succeeding, somebody shouted at you, you made a mistake, you're not appreciated for the work you have done. These are the situations which happens in an everyday life. And if we don't process this right, we don't fill ourselves with self-esteem, but we fill ourselves with either self-doubts or this conviction the world is not good enough. This is how the whole flow of the session is, where we are being very, very practical, very authentic, where we are not blaming our past, nor are we blaming ourselves, but we are just focusing on how to move to a life where we are talking about self-esteem, self-belief inside our head. And now towards the closure. This is what each one of you will do. Again, something with which you will do, go to the classroom. So before you go to the class, you have some work to do for yourself. One, the easy part, of course, is that I can. Now, this is the second work that you will do when you go inside the classroom. Each one of you, right now, will write 5 sentences which you will repeat to yourself to create healthy self-esteem. Any 5 sentences which you believe will help you to create healthy self-esteem. So let me share what are my 5 sentences. And then you can either write along with me or you can write it after you listen to me. Inspire or expire. Change your thoughts to change your life. You are born to create an impact. Everything that happens is in your favor. You are blessed with abundance. When I say these statements to myself, for a microsecond, if I have slipped and I have filled some self-doubt here, it gets taken care of. वो लगाते हैं ना अपने हाथ में, ए बेटू क्या यूज करती है तू? Sanitizer. We go somewhere and some bacteria and all might be there, so you use a sanitizer to become right again, to become healthy again. Similarly, these are sanitizing thoughts. In case you ever slip, these 5 statements should be able to pull you up. Of course, another few very beautiful and powerful statements for myself are, जो भी करेगा कमाल का करेगा. Before I sleep, I should tell myself, maza aa gaya. I like to tell myself before any program, maza aayega. If it is very difficult, maza aayega. If something has gone wrong, ab theek karne mein maza aayega. I'm meeting a stranger, maza aayega. I keep telling myself, maza aayega, maza aayega, maza aayega. I don't allow myself to be scared. I never tell myself I can't. You ask me to do something impossible, either I'll say I'm not interested, or I'll say, maza aayega. I don't like to cry and say, difficult. Greater the difficulty, more the maza. Sochna, when I went to EBC, 8-9 days of trekking, difficult था, लेकिन वहां जाके जो फोटो खींचा ना, ओ हो, क्या मजा है. So as I'm going through a difficult phase where we have to climb at an angle of 45 degrees and the legs are paining, atmospheric oxygen is 30% of its natural state. And I find people struggling and many people going back from here saying, nahi ho sakta. And I tell myself, oh, EBC में ना फोटो खिंचाने का क्या मजा आने वाला है. चल एक स्टेप और ले. अरे क्या मजा आने वाला है, एक स्टेप और ले ले. And before I realize, we are at Everest Base Camp. So the message I give to myself is, मजा आएगा. What would be your 5 messages? Think and write now. Now don't say बहुत difficult है. Five statements which can fill you with self-belief and self-esteem. Avshu is in a very thoughtful frame. And I'm not sure with his other hand, he's using the mouse and still keying in something on a notepad. He is a technology child. Such a beautiful thing. 5 statements which will fill you with confidence and self-belief. This is like your shield. This is your sanitizer during COVID times. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now here comes the interesting part. Okay. Darlings, thank you so much for such active engagement in today's session. And this is what you're going to do inside the classroom. In this session, you will have about 10 or 12 minutes of talking to do. And so much for the children to interact, think, write. A lot of studies have shown when you engage an audience in an activity, when they bring their body, mind, and they have to coordinate it, the lessons they learn goes very deep. Listening definitely leads to learning, but getting people engaged is a much, much, much deeper way of learning. Like seeing a swimmer swim will teach you some things, but swimming inside the water is getting engaged in that activity. It will make you learn much deeper. This year, what we are going to do is, session after session, we are going to engage our students inside the classroom in a very meaningful way. Now, here are a few ideas that we have for you. अभी ये बनाया है ना 5 statement. How about doing this now? Standing in the front of the mirror and saying these statements to yourself in the morning. You get up in the morning, you watch your face, don't be horrified. If you want to play it safe, brush your teeth, in some cases, comb your hair, not applicable to me. And then look at the mirror with a lot of confidence and say these 5 statements. Second, send it to yourself as a text message. Third, make these statements as a part of your DP. If you don't know what is a DP, you're living in Stone Age time. Fourth, post these statements on social media saying 5 statements that help me to live a life of self-esteem. Then you can ask them, what's yours? You can engage your audience over there. Fifth, write an email to yourself. Sixth, obviously, write it on this post-it sticky notes and stick it on a mirror or in a place where you are able to see it and read it many, many times. A couple of years ago, we had a lovely girl who was from junior side who scored like 99% in her final exams. And she was telling us that she pasted the insights from KMM session on the walls of the place where she used to study. Her name, Rutuja Prakash. And what she got? 99.6%. And she pasted messages from KMM so that she can read it every time when she's sitting to study. And when she was interviewed by the local TV over there, she said, one of the reasons why I've done well is these statements from Keep Moving Movement. So maybe you can create a sticky note out of it or a poster out of it. Maybe write it in the diary that you have. Those of you who are like social media animals, maybe you can create a reel out of it. And definitely, how about writing it as a letter to yourself? How about writing it as a letter to yourself? So if I write, dearest darling Naren, and then can I write? There will be times when things will not go the way you want. Here are 5 statements which are your best friends who will always fill you with self-belief. And then I write and say, always remember to read them. Wish you all the best. You are meant to create miracles. Love you so much. And I write a letter and give it to me. What you will do is, before you go to the school, you should have done a few of these. Then when you go inside the classroom, you can say, this is what I have done. And this is what you can do, or these are the additional things that you can do. So let's say you've written it in a diary. You can carry the diary to school. If you've written it in a letter, you can carry that letter to school. If you have made it into DP, I know there are some people who may not wear clothes, but who always carry their phone with themselves. You can show it to them. Those of you who are interested, I will show you my DP. So you do this and go, it becomes something which is very easy for them to do. So you're going to live this session for the next 10 days. Now, when you have the AC meeting, how brilliant it will be if some of you go there with your I-can frame with you. क्या कर दिया मैं? Why delay? पहले ही करके चले जाएंगे. Every human being who ever lived came into this world with value and worth. There has never been an exception. This includes me and this includes you. There will be times when you will believe that you are flawed. You may think that other people have more value than you, more worth than you, and for some reason you don't. You may think that deep inside somewhere you are just wrong. It's hard to have healthy self-esteem when we believe so strongly in our defects. It is hard to have healthy self-esteem when we believe so strongly about our defects. A belief like that colors our outlook on everything. Our relationships, our accomplishments, our activities, they're like a shadow constantly hovering over us. This is my belief. There is no human being without value and worth. If Ayurveda says there is no plant without value, I'm saying there is no human being without value. In the hospital, there are no 2 rooms. The nursery does not have one room for babies born with value and one for babies who are born worthless. We all arrive as miracles. It is only our thoughts which tells us otherwise. It is just the sound, the voice inside our head which tells us otherwise. So believe that every human being is born with value and worth. You are unique, you are original, and you are the only one of its kind. You don't have to be like anyone else. Just believe in your value and worth. I'm here for something. The grass has value, and so does a banyan tree. The clouds up there have a value, and so does a glass of water inside my house. The huge mountains have values. And the small speed breaker on the road also has its own value. Everything has value. Everything has value. Always see yourself as a person who has tremendous value. Let the opinions of the world, the struggles of your life, and your own strong belief in your defects not stop you from living a life of miracles. When you go inside the classroom, you should go inside the classroom as a person who believes in their self-worth. When you walk inside the classroom, walk inside the classroom with this purpose, with this deep purpose, that in my class, if there are 40 children, today onwards, these 40 children will live a life of belief and value. They will live a life with value and self-worth. They will live a life with self-worth and go on to create some miracles. Move inside the classroom with a sense of passion. This year will be different because we are going through a transition. 2 years has made people lazy. 2 years has made people think about inconveniences as impossibles. I remember Satish Joshi would travel 30 kilometers to go to a school to take a session. I know from Pune, people have gone to Lonavala to take a session. Unfortunately, COVID came. And now if people have to travel for 5 kilometers, some of them might say, "Arey yaar, bahut dur hai yaar, itna dur kaise jaun?" You won't go to Kashmir. Bahut dur hai. You want Kashmir to come inside your room? 7 बार तो जाना है. What I think is very difficult, in fact, is only inconvenient. This year, please cooperate with KMM. Some of you may prefer schools near your house, but you might get a school which is 10 kilometers away. Learn to enjoy the long drive and listen to the songs. Some of you want a class at 8 a.m. You might get a class at 10 o'clock. Take it as an opportunity to develop your communication and make things happen with your boss and colleagues. And you still go and do that session and come. As you resist, remember to listen to the voice inside your head. Let's create some miraculous results this year. I'm super excited and super thrilled to have all of you. I know this year is going to be very different because I've got used to non-action during COVID times. लेकिन मजा आएगा, बहुत मजा आएगा. At the end of this year, all of us will look back and say, what a beautiful achievement we had. We were climbing that hill which is 45 degrees. It's painful, but we are thinking about taking a photograph in Everest Base Camp and thinking, bahut maza aayega. Every year, some of you have risen to the occasion and done exceptional things. And I'm sure this year too, we will have a bunch of KMM volunteers who will rise to the occasion and deliver exceptional results. To complete today's beautiful first session, this year we have decided not to have the mock by Kanchan or by Shripal for all. Why? I want the ACs to lead the show in their respective groups. I think the ACs are good enough to deliver it at their level in their teams. So if your team demands a mock, brilliant. There you are, my darling AC, who will deliver a mock. Wish you an exceptional session. May all of you experience a life where your inner voice is always saying you are a miracle and you are here to create magic.